throughout Sister Wives, Janelle always gave this reasoning, or an excuse maybe, for why her and Robyn weren't close with each other. You know, they didn't raise kids together. They were just at different stages in their lives. So it wasn't so much like a choice, so much as just the timing was off. But, okay, then we get to now. Season 17 has just ended, and we saw Janelle get more bold in calling out Robyn's hypocrisies. And we even saw Robyn get kind of bold in calling out what she thought were Janelle's shortcomings. And seeing them do that made me realize that I had never really thought about the relationship between Robyn and Janelle. I just took Janelle's reasoning for the truth, that the timing was off and they just weren't close. But if you're like me and you're using this time in between season 17 and season 18 to consider, like, how did we get to this moment where the family has just totally fallen apart, then you know that we cannot leave any stone unturned. So let's take a look back. Let's go back and see what the relationship between Janelle and Robyn has been like in episodes past, and maybe that will help us understand a little better where they are right now. The life of me, in an episode, I know this exists because I just watched it recently, but I just cannot find it. So if this description sounds familiar to you, please let us all know in the comments, what season and episode was this? So in this scene, Janelle was doing an interview with producers and she's explaining her relationship to Mary. And I know you've heard this before. She says that Mary is or was aggressive, not aggressive. She didn't say aggressive. I think assertive is the word that she used. Mary was very assertive and direct. And of course, now, years later, we know that could be like a euphemism, a very nice way of saying that Mary was way more than assertive and direct. But at the time, Janelle said something like that. And of course, Janelle says she didn't know how to respond to that. She had never met someone who was as direct as Mary was, because it was so different from how Janelle was. Janelle described herself as someone who just stuffs and stuffs and stuffs down her emotions for as long as she can until eventually they explode out. And that's what I think we see happen between Janelle and Robyn over the years. I think Janelle was obviously annoyed by Robyn at certain points and did her best to stuff down those emotions until we get to season 17 where she finally explodes. Of course, Janelle's explosion is pretty calm and logical. Isn't that like her favorite way to describe things? Logical. Because that's how Janelle will explode. I think it would be a pretty calm and logical explosion. So it all starts way back in season 1. Do you think Janelle was open to Robyn joining the family? You might remember Christine was really angry and upset. I think she even used those words. I was angry about the way the courtship went between Robyn and Cody. But Janelle doesn't say that. She kind of says the opposite.
When Cody first told me about her, I had a spiritual witness. I don't know how to explain it other than that this person was special.
Even now, we know that Janelle is open to plural marriage. What did she say? She has a calling for plural marriage, something like that. Anyway, we know that she is still open to the idea that wives should join a family. But it became clear very early on that Janelle lost hope in Robyn being the spiritual blessing that she hoped she would be. I think that Janelle maybe even grew a little disdainful of Robyn, and at the very least did her best to keep her distance from Robyn. One way that we see this distance between them is physically, in Janelle's body language. Season 1, episode 3, Christine was talking about the moment when she learned that Cody had sealed his engagement to Robyn with a kiss. She talked about how her heart was really broken. I think she said that she was heartbroken when she learned about that happening. Of course, then Robyn started crying as if she was actually more hurt than Christine. This time I watched this episode, I remember focusing on the interaction between Christine and Robyn and trying to understand their dynamic. But this time, let's look at the way Janelle reacts to Robyn.
I found out that Christine was upset. I remember being really upset because I knew I'd hurt you.
It's clear, right? At the very least, Janelle gives no sympathy to Robyn. I think this shows up throughout the series Janelle is not really into the way that Robyn considers and paints herself as the victim. The same thing happens years later in season 6, episode 10. This episode, the adults were doing family counseling, and Cody lamented that the wives were not invested in having relationships with each other. Nancy, the therapist, encouraged Cody to stop assuming the intentions of all the wives and instead talk to them, find out their investment. Before any of the other wives can respond, of course, Robyn jumps in and co-signs exactly what Cody says. Watch Janelle as she's listening to Robyn talk.
We are definitely more invested emotionally, bad or good, in our relationship with Cody. We are. We deal with each other, but we are cordial with each other in family settings. But as far as the, intimate on a emotional level, relationship, we are lazy.
Now, I know you saw that. Janelle looked at Robyn while Robyn was talking. At the very least, I think it's clear that Janelle is not really feeling what Robyn has to say. And it definitely makes sense because we know that Janelle took her commitment to the family very seriously, kind of to her detriment. I think she was so committed to that family that the only reason she was even eventually willing to leave is because they didn't give her a choice. Cody made it very clear that he was not committed to her in the way that she needed him to be. Of course, Janelle is not always communicating so clearly with her eyes towards Robyn. Sometimes she's not giving Robyn any energy at all. Check out these moments from season 1, episode 6. Keeping in mind that generally when you're in a group and one person is talking, you look at the person who's talking. Janelle consistently moves her head away or turns her gaze somewhere else when Robyn starts talking. Interestingly, when someone else starts talking, Janelle is more willing to be physically engaged and focused on what they're saying.
Had to go for so long, so it was hard for me to have Christine say that. But as far as time, that was needed.
I agree with Christine too. That there are just certain things.
Well, yeah.
This kind of changing her gaze when whether or not Robyn is talking, happens throughout the episode. And so I encourage you, I know a lot of us are going back and watching old episodes now. Try to pay attention to that. When Janelle and Robyn are in the group, typically of all the adults, where does Janelle look when Robyn starts talking? Versus where does she look when other adults are talking? Of course, there are moments when Janelle looks directly at Robyn, but it is rare. And it's worth noting when that happens. Okay, so throughout the series, I think it's clear that Janelle's body language makes it clear that she's not really feeling Robyn. And maybe you would be wondering why, but my guess is you and I know this is probably influenced by the things that matter most, some of the things that matter most to Janelle, which are independence and money. In season 1, episode 5, Mary, Janelle, and Christine are set out to buy a Claddagh ring for Robyn. As you might remember, at that time at least, all of the adults had a Claddagh ring. It's Claddagh ring. I hope I'm saying that right. It symbolized their commitment to each other. So like a commitment ring. Janelle said that she wanted a particular one for Robyn because the price was right.
On this one is 150, 14 karat, and then we have the white gold also.
Okay, so let's talk about budget because that could be, she may get the thin one.
Sorry, for me it was price.
Finances and how they were going to afford things seems to always be at the top of Janelle's mind. And it's no surprise, right? Janelle told us that she was the family's financial planner, basically. And so it made sense that the family's finances and where the money was going to come from was something that Janelle was worried about more than probably any other wife in that family. And as Janelle is feeling like there's never enough money, well, here comes Robyn with 3 kids, no job, and a lot of credit card debt. In season 2, episode 3, Janelle shared a little bit more about how she felt when Robyn joined the family.
When Robyn came up and she was looking for work and didn't have work, there was a little bit of an adjustment there from my perspective, like, okay, so it's got to go even further now. The resources that we have, which are somewhat finite, had to go even further.
Janelle's concerns were no surprise, and Robyn knew that her financial contribution or lack thereof was going to be a big deal to the wives and the entire family.
There's this part of me that just wants to go and do some really great job and contribute vast amounts of money and go, here, look, see what I did. I'm valuable to this family.
I'm always like paying the bills one month thinking, wow, I wonder how I'm going to pay them next month. You know, it always works out, but there's a lot of stress involved with trying to make sure everything gets paid.
Of course, being on the show and having the income from that was a big deal. But I'm sure you remember that at some point, the wives all decided that they were going to work on creating multiple streams of income. And eventually, Robyn tried to do that too. We've talked about My Sister Wife's Closet on this channel before. And I think it's clear to all of us that that business never really became the booming, financial stream of millions of dollars that Robyn wanted it to be. Despite the business I don't know if you could say failing, but it sure wasn't a success from day one. Robyn really wanted the entire family to be committed to My Sister Wife's Closet. She even went so far as to tell Cody that if he wanted her to have more babies, then basically he needed to get the other wives to help make My Sister Wife's Closet grow. But for a long time, Janelle didn't want to do that. And in season 6, episode 2, she explained why.
You know, I'm involved now in this weight loss journey. It's very individual. It's very personal for me. And I'm finding myself in my life exploring other parts of just being an individual. I want to continue to pursue my real estate career, which is me. So I'm struggling now to figure out how me as an individual fits within My Sister Wife's Closet.
So the financial aspect of My Sister Wife's Closet did create some stress between Janelle and Robyn. It took money to start the business, and it pulled the other wives away from some of their financial pursuits. But I think almost more importantly, it highlighted, in my opinion, this fundamental difference between Janelle and Robyn. See, Janelle's independence mattered to her. Even from the very beginning of the show, Janelle kind of argued that polygamy was great because it afforded her the time and the space to be independent and to do things that she wanted to do and spend time on the things that she cared about. Robyn, on the other hand, never talked about her independence. With My Sister Wife's Closet, she wanted everyone to work on the business. Every decision she ever makes seems to be in service to Cody. I mean, now at this point, after season 17, that tell-all series, I think we have an even better understanding of the depths to which Robyn is willing to go in service to Cody. In a way, I feel like the independence that Janelle holds so highly, Robyn would consider that like a bad word to talk about a wife's independence. Are you kidding me? Every now and then there is a scene where Robyn and Janelle get together independent of the other adults. And it's always a little tense, a little awkward. There are only really 2 moments that stand out to me when I try to remember what scenes does this happen in. One of them is in season 6, I think, when they talk about My Sister Wife's Closet, and then years later in season 16. And we'll touch on both of those. Okay. So let's start with season 6. In this moment, Janelle has crunched some numbers on the My Sister Wife's Closet, what they do, like a convention. All the adults were there. All 5 of them spent the whole weekend there. And Janelle wanted to see, was that actually a good use of their time? Did they make enough money to validate all 5 of them being there? Of course they didn't. You already know that. Of course they didn't. Well, Robyn got really frustrated by that conversation, and I would argue she got a little embarrassed too. Janelle ended up saying that, this was basically a hobby business, and if Robyn really wanted all of the adults to commit themselves full-time to this business, then she needed to do the work to grow it into something worth some money. After that conversation, Janelle, I guess we don't see this part, but I guess she calls Robyn and says that she wants to have a one-on-one conversation with her. And Robyn was a little bit nervous about that.
Hey. Working?
Yes.
Sister Wife's Closet.
Okay, cool. When Janelle first came over to my house, I was like, oh my gosh, what does she need? And I was a little nervous, First came in, I was like, oh no, does she need to say more to me?
It ended up being a fine conversation. Janelle, it turns out, wanted to come over to tell Robyn that she did actually want to give My Sister Wife's Closet a chance. In fact, it turns out Janelle wanted to use My Sister Wife's Closet as an umbrella company to start her own plus-size athletic wear clothing line. It's clear in this conversation that Janelle had really thought about the future of My Sister Wife's Closet and wanted to figure out how to make the business work for her. She was also trying to convince Robyn to reimagine the business a little bit. See, Robyn was trying to figure out how to keep Cody in the center of the business. How could she make it less awkward for him to sell women's clothes and women's jewelry? Janelle was like, what's the point? Let's move Cody to the back and instead make this a business that focuses on women's empowerment. Robyn walked away from that conversation saying she was happy that Janelle finally saw this as a family business and she was excited for them to work together. But she missed the detail that Janelle was not actually compelled or convinced by the fact that this was a family business. In some ways, it was the opposite for Janelle. To me, Janelle was interested in My Sister Wife's Closet because it created an opportunity for her to invest in her own interests. So in a lot of ways, it was like Robyn and Janelle were in the same room, having a conversation together, but seeing each other through like opposite lenses. So the message just did not get through. In season 8, episode 7, Robyn tried to make sense of Janelle's reaction to a conversation that all the wives had just had. In this episode, Mary had told Christine and Janelle that she was divorcing Cody so that he could legally marry Robyn and then they could adopt her 3 kids. Christine filled the space with her energy. You might even remember this. She ran over to Mary and gave her a hug. And the first time I saw that episode, I was really focused on Christine and like, is she being for real right now? Does she really care about these kids that much? I don't know, I was skeptical. But it's important to notice that Janelle didn't say anything. She made one little joke and then she basically left the room before any of the other wives. I do have another video where we talk a little bit more about this scene, but for now, let's just look at the fact that she gets up and leaves. And then look at how Robyn explains what just happened.
Thanks. You bet.
You know, the only emotion that I was really feeling was shock.
All right, guys. See you later.
I know she loves the kids, so I don't know, maybe it's something else.
Yeah.
I've learned with Janelle that sometimes it's not what she's hearing, it's sometimes she's having a bad day.
Compare that to how Janelle explains that moment.
This change, the divorce and then the marriage to Robyn, it just changes the fabric of reality. It changes the fabric of what is. Those kinds of things always make me start to question, well, with this shift, will things be the same for me?
To me, it's like Robyn is saying, oh, Janelle's having a bad day. Let's not worry about it. And Janelle is like really contemplating the future of her life and how this family is going to be there for her or not. Of course, Robyn might be just simplifying things to kind of be easy in the moment. But I do think that Robyn genuinely has a hard time seeing Janelle's independence as something worthy of her reflection or deep thinking. Okay, so one of the only other times that I can remember Janelle and Robyn being alone together is in season 16. As you might remember, COVID was happening. Cody's protocols around all that were in place, and Janelle's mom had just passed away. Just as a refresher, later in life, Janelle's mom had married Cody's dad and became his second wife. And so when Janelle's mom passed away, this was also one of Cody's moms who had passed away. And so despite the COVID protocols, when Janelle went to the funeral, Cody went with her. Afterwards, Cody stayed at Janelle's house for a few days, just to make sure he wasn't going to test positive. People speculate, and I think you might be onto something here, that the only reason Robyn came over to check in on Janelle and see how she's doing is because Cody was in the house. And they don't show Robyn interacting with Cody, but what do you think? If she had this socially distanced conversation with Janelle, it's probably safe to say she also had some kind of interaction with Cody, because we know she will do her best to make sure that man does not forget about her no matter where he is. Anyway, watching Janelle and Robyn try to interact with one another is like kind of funny because it's awkward and it's clear that they don't have a close relationship with each other.
I really don't have much communication with Robyn right now.
I'm really sorry I wasn't there. I mean, I was with you guys in spirit.
And the family was all pretty respectful. Cody and I, tried to wear our masks.
Yeah.
So
these are just some examples of the interactions between Janelle and Robyn. But if you can think of more, please put them in the comments. You all are awesome, and you often remember details and important moments that might not be in my video, but that are worthy of discussion. So yeah, put them down in the comments, and then we can continue this conversation. What happened between Janelle and Robyn? In the meantime, to kind of wrap this up, these are my, I guess, final thoughts. Did Maury Povich used to do that? No, Jerry Springer used to do that. Final thoughts with Jerry Springer, or Everyday Candace. I do think that Janelle was open to Robyn in the beginning, but I think Robyn didn't have the perspective to see and appreciate Janelle's strengths. At the same time, Robyn's presence made Janelle's job of managing the family finances exponentially harder. Unfortunately, that didn't stop Robyn from trying to be an expert on Janelle, and specifically Janelle's marriage with Cody. I also think that as much as Janelle enjoys and celebrates her independence, she probably got tired of Robyn working to delegitimize it. In some ways, I think Janelle is right. Their timing was off, and maybe raising kids together would have forced them to have a relationship, but I can't see how they ever could have both been themselves and grown to have an authentic, close relationship to each other. Those are my thoughts. As always, let me know your thoughts. Do you think that if the timing had been different, Janelle and Robyn could have grown into the relationship that Janelle has with Christine? Or do you think this was a no-go from the beginning? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and we will either meet down there or we'll meet in the next video, because this is like one of my favorite things to talk about. Sister Wives has been a part of my life for so many years, and I'm glad though that I finally get to share this with you. So yeah, we'll either see each other in the comments or in the next video. All right, take care. Bye.